Steve and Aaron, hello. So Steve, 2 changes from last week, I think most notably Owen moving to 10. Please may you tell us a little bit about that decision?
Yes, I think we've got a squad that's fully fit and everyone raring to go. So there's some great selection decisions to make, and I think this is the team that's the right team to play against Fiji this weekend on Sunday. It's great to have this blend of strengths, people to start the game and the guys that are coming on to finish the game, because I think we've got a very strong bench also. I think having this combination, I think Manu and Joe Marchant have played real well in the centres together. You know, Owen's played a lot of games with Manu at 10-12 there as well. And I think that the way Marcus, in each of the games that he's come on or started at fullback, I think he's come on and he's added enormously. So he deserves the start for this game, the way we want to play.
You mentioned Marcus there, but if I could just ask about that. We all know what he brings, but I guess what goes into that decision for him to start?
It was, in terms of the selection process, I analysed the opposition with my coaching team. We go through exactly how we want to play. Obviously, we're looking and debriefing how we played and what we've done, and then produce the criteria by which I go through the selection process and then select the team accordingly.
Is this the biggest selection that you've had to make in your career?
Every selection is important to me, every one. And every one of them will go through the same rigour of how we want to play, what every player brings. Every one of them will go through the criteria of the selection process. So then I can go back and revisit every one of the selections I've made throughout my coaching career.
Thank you.
Steve, do you remember when the idea of Marcus at fullback was first discussed? Whose idea was it? What was your initial reaction? What have you been saying to him this week?
I think that it was discussed some months ago through the Rugby World Cup preparation camps, and I think having that time with the players enables you to work on certain aspects and develop certain aspects, which has been brilliant. I think Marcus has really embraced the opportunity, and I think again you start looking at the strength of players we have in our back three available to us. It's great to have the different combinations of strengths that we have, and I think this starting back three is the right one for the game this weekend.
I accept that this is probably a difficult question to answer, but do you see this as a long-term position switch? Could Marcus play out fullback for the rest of his career, or is it just this game specifically that allows you to play him there?
Well, I think that I've talked a lot about positional flexibility. Having players able to play at the highest level in multiple positions is an incredible strength, in a World Cup like the man next to me. His ability to perform so well either at 10 or at 12. Mark's ability to play 10, 15 I think it's another sign of strength of the squad.
I know, and a quick one for you if I can. I'm sure you've watched back the previous game at Twickenham, and there'll be more than one headline that you'll be working on, but just give us a sense of the things that you've got to get right this weekend that maybe you didn't back at Twickenham.
Well, obviously we've looked at Fiji as we would every other team, and that's obviously helpful to have played against them not so long ago. But at the same time, we feel like we've moved on. We feel it does feel, especially now, Saturday, that was a long time ago. But that's not to say there's not lessons to be learned from it. That's not to say that the threats are not the same. But we've been making sure that we've been building since then, and I think we have done, and we're looking forward to showing the best of us at the weekend.
And I can only imagine how excited you are to be leading the team into a quarter-final. You're a big game player. How are you sleeping? How are the nerves? How's the excitement? How are you?
Excited as the team is. We've had a good preparation so far. Trying not to play the game too early. Trying not to be too up or down before the game. We're trying to build it up for the right time, and that's on Sunday. So no, it's nice. It's going to be a good build up to it. Having obviously preparing Saturday, but then being able to watch the other quarter-finals as well. I'm sure that'll put us in a good mood for Sunday.
Hi Steve, is there any risk to playing Marcus at 15 from the start? in the, given his lack of experience in the position, or has he just shown so much sort of aptitude for it that you don't consider that too much of a gamble?
I think he's played a lot of times at 15 now for us over this last period of time, through August and through this World Cup, in terms of him coming on in those plenty of games off the bench to finish him. I think he's also now an experienced international rugby player. And as I say, I think this team's the right team for what we need to do this weekend.
In terms of how he's adapted to that different role in the short space of time he's been doing it, does that just show, like you say, his qualities to be able to add an extra string to his bow in quite a short space of time?
I think we all see what a top quality rugby player he is. And I think I've seen in many of the players in this squad, I've seen growth and development. And I think I'd say having the opportunity to work with the players for a period of time enables that to happen.
Obviously, George drops to the bench and Freddie is not in the 23. Is that tough on those guys?
George changes his role to the bench. George changes his role to the bench.
He's not starting, is he?
He changes his role to the bench.
Okay. He's not starting the match. But if Freddie isn't in the 23, well, is that difficult for the players to deal with? Do they understand the wider significance of the 33-man collective like you talk about?
I go through with the players, I meet with all the players around the selection and the reasons behind it, the thought processes behind it, and why we're choosing what to do. George has been brilliant throughout this whole tournament so far, been really excellent, and his role is slightly different now, to go on and finish the game. And again, he's been brilliant in the training week. And as I say, look at the quality of players we have available to us. We have a lot of players a lot of really good players who aren't starting this game. We could talk a lot about them. You talk about George, you talk about Ben Young's not starting, Freddie Stewart. There's a lot of top quality players, Henry Arundel, who aren't starting, which shows the strength of this squad.
Oh, and you talked before about obviously wanting to play at Stade Velodrome. You've got your chance now. With everything that's sort of gone into getting the team to this point, are the squad just ready to get out there and put that sort of level of performance onto the pitch that you've talked about, and expect to deliver at exactly the right time?
Well, we've been preparing the best we can. We're excited. These opportunities don't come around too often to play in a quarter-final of a World Cup. So the lads are itching, yeah. We're preparing the best we can, and like I said, we're preparing to try and bring the best out of ourselves on Sunday.
Steve, a lot of the players will be playing the biggest games of their careers on Sunday. What will be your message to the team before they step out onto the pitch?
Yeah. So it is, and I told you this right from the start of the tournament, these players want to be involved in big games. And we're quite clear, this is knockout rugby. And I think that these players, I think they'll embrace this challenge, and I think they'll really rise to the occasion. That's my expectation, and I think that's what they've done throughout this tournament, and I expect them to rise again for Sunday against Fiji. There's a lot of players here who've experienced knockout rugby before, and there's a lot of players who've lifted a lot of trophies at different times in their careers. So my expectation is they'll be rising to the occasion.
And what did you learn from that Fiji game in August that shaped your selection and tactics for this match?
There was plenty of things, and we discussed that at length post the game. And I think we were very clear that was part of our build-up towards the tournament, and we learned a lot of lessons within it. And I think now the team's moved a bit since that point in time. And as ever, we use each game as a learning experience for us to feed into the next game. And that's what we've continued to do in the games following that one.
From what you've seen so far, how much have Fiji moved on since then?
Sorry, could you say that again?
How much have Fiji moved on since that match, from what you've seen during their group?
So they've obviously got a different, some changes, different fly half in terms of, unfortunately the fly half played that day at Twickenham suffered an injury and is not available. Bottia didn't play that day at Twickenham, so it's a different team, as is ours. And I think this is a few weeks on, and I know there's been a lot of discussion from their side about that game. For us, we're looking forward to this game.
Steve, you were part of the squad that came to Marseille in
in 07 for a quarter-final, and it seemed to sort of like the blue touch paper of the entire campaign. You know, it was a massive victory, and the mood and the confidence grew. Are you looking for the same push and propulsion from the performance you know or you believe your players can give on Sunday?
Yeah, I think the players have, since we arrived in France, I think the players said the big games they really rise to. The big players who perform on the big occasions. And that's what I think they've done. Now, through each of those games, I think we've learned some different elements. And from Saturday's game against Samoa, I think we had some other aspects to learn from that, to look forward into this game. And all we're thinking about is this quarter-final. What a game to be involved in. A fantastic stadium, a great place to play rugby. I think it's, when we were last here, our supporters were incredible. And I know there's going to be plenty of them there, tens of thousands from what I've been told, are coming to this game on Sunday. And we're looking forward to playing as well as we can in front of them.
And Owen, as captain in a knockout game where you've experienced knockout matches before, did you have an extra role for maybe some of the younger players or the less experienced players to make sure that they're going in with the right frame of mind and with not too nervous, not overcome by the occasion, which can happen in big matches?
I guess so. I think the feel of the group over the courses this week is that it's turned up excited to get after the preparation. The team's been at it so far this week, and as we said, we want to build up to Sunday. We want to make sure we serve the best of us by preparing the best we can for the game on Sunday, and we want to be able to bring that out of ourselves come kick-off.
Was there a disappointment maybe in terms of some aspects of the performance last week, but does that just actually sharpen the desire amongst the players to make it clear what you've got in your locker as a team and a unit? I've no doubt that. I mean, we're well into this week now, so looking back at last week seems a bit odd at this moment in time with the quarter final in front of us. But yeah, obviously we reviewed it. Obviously we looked at what we can do better, and we put that into what we've been doing this week. And as I said, there's a fantastic opportunity in front of us this week.
Hi, Steve. Obviously the breakdown's very important in every single game, but I guess particularly that was an area Fiji seemed to come out on top at Twickenham. Is there anything you particularly emphasise to the players around it, and is there anything you want to see from the officials in that area?
From our point of view, we want to make sure that we bring our attacking game in the shape and framework that we want to bring onto the pitch on Sunday, so that all our ball carriers have support inside and outside. We know that's a highly competitive area, as other aspects are within this game. It's an area of strength for them. They've won plenty of penalties and turnovers in that area throughout this tournament, so we're aware of it. What we've got to do, essentially, is not be necessarily talking so much about what the opposition do, but what we do. And I think that comes back to the shape and framework with which we attack.
And 4 years ago, England reached the World Cup final with the youngest team, I think, to ever got there in the professional era, and nearly everyone has come around this campaign. But we spoke to Johnny May last week. He said that it's his last, and I think you can reasonably assume from some of the ages within the squad that will be the case for others as well. Is that been a theme at all, that this is potentially the last dance for this particular side?
I think what you've got to do is ensure you take the opportunities that's presented to you. Say, rise to the occasion of this game. You never know what's around the corner. You know, as a rugby player, I thought I had an opportunity in 03 and didn't get picked, and then I went in 07. I thought I'd be there in 2011, and I wasn't. So you end up playing one tournament. For us, I want the players to embrace this challenge. I want the players to have the time of their lives representing England. I want them to have a fantastic memory of this World Cup, and I want the team to continue to just get better and better and better. Let's see how good we can be. And we know this is an incredible challenge on Sunday. It's one I think the team will be ready for. I think it's one that these players who've played so many times on the big occasion are really going to rise to it. So I know I can't wait. I'm sure you can't. And the supporters I meet in the street, they can't wait either.
Hi, Steve. After the Samoa game, you brought up some concerns you thought you had about the breakdown and the way that Fiji are winning penalties. Have you now met with the refereeing team and got the answers you wanted?
So post-game I talked about some of the aspects in the game last weekend I'd seek clarity upon, and I did, and I received clarity of it. In terms of Fiji, we talked about Fiji being an incredibly strong side. I think if you look, and I know some statements have been made around Tier 1, Tier 2, the situation I have is that in the 3 games Fiji played against England, Australia, Wales in the last few weeks have won over 40 penalties and conceded mid-20s. So from that you see a team that has a lot of penalties given to them. I expect we've just got to control what we can control in the game, and we will do that.
Have you managed to chat with Matthew Reynal yet about that, or is that coming later today or tomorrow?
As part of World Cup regulations, you don't speak to the referee in advance of the game.
Okay. Owen, can I ask about your role as captain and managing the referee, I suppose? It's something you've grown with in the role. Can you just talk about the importance of that in these big games, of getting that right and getting the balance between when to ask him the right questions and not, and leave him alone, I suppose?
I think Steve's just touching it there. We've got to control what we can. If there's any sort of confusion, obviously you want to ask for clarity and want to ask what you can do better. But in terms of what we can control, that's all that really matters to us. And we talked about our parts of our game there that are gonna make big differences towards that. And we hope that we don't have to speak to the referee too much.
When you look at the back row that you've got in front of you, do you look at a set of 3 who can really make some damage there at the breakdown? Like Tom Curry's always been brilliant turnovers. Ben Earl, similar. You've played with him a lot of Saris. Courtney. Do you look at that and say that's a great trio we can put up against Fiji?
Yeah, definitely. I think our back row is very dangerous. Obviously, with the decision making around the breakdowns defensively and being able to turn over ball, but not just that, the other side of the ball as well. I think they do a brilliant job for us in making sure that we have quick ball at the right time. So, to answer your question, I think we do have some big threats.
Just the last one for me for Steve. You're England head coach now at a World Cup quarter-final. Can you just talk about what that means to you as a proud Englishman, and maybe to you and your family, that you're leading your country in a knockout game at a World Cup?
I think being involved with this team is an enormous privilege. I'm very proud to have had involvement with the England rugby team throughout my career, from playing even as a junior, playing for England as a schoolboy, and then coming through the ranks under 21s, and then the A team, and then representing the senior team. Enormous pride to have been involved with England and wear the shirt and meet some incredible people along the journey. And I think this last period of time I've been working with some incredible people here, coaching and management team we have with the team, the players, the man next to me who's a phenomenal leader, one of the best leaders I have ever met, and he's the kind of guy you'd want to go on the field with. And so to have the opportunity and the privilege to work with these guys, it's incredible. And I see the effect the team has on my 2 young boys who I know are back home, and my wife sends me the videos of them jumping up and down in front of the TV when they see this team win, see this team play well. And I'm sure that's mirrored across households, all the way across England. We're very fortunate to have incredible supporters who spend an awful lot of money coming out here to support us, and many in the pubs and back home in the living rooms. And our aim is this weekend to ensure they've got plenty to cheer about. These players, it's a great challenge in front of them, and I'm expecting them to rise to it.
Johnny May spoke the other week about how playing for England is such a privilege, but it can be actually quite a burden and a weight, because you know that significance of the country behind you and stuff. Do you get nervous before games? Do you feel that in the moments before game where you don't have control over what the match is going to look like, and you just have to leave it to the players? Does that fill you with dread a bit or not?
I think throughout my playing career I took confidence from preparation, and I take that into the coaching. I think aspects like selection we've talked a lot about, the processes you put in place to ensure that the preparation is as good as it possibly can be. And my job as head coach here is I want to create an environment where these players go onto that pitch confident in the preparation they've had. And I want to make sure that everybody around this England team enjoys this experience. I want them to, I've said this a few times, I want these guys, everybody, coaches, management, players, to have the time of their lives being involved in this. It's an incredible privilege, responsibility, honour. It's also something that's an awful lot of fun as well.
Yeah. Owen, hi. While obviously this tournament's massive here, it's all embracing, back home it's probably fair to say amongst the wider sporting public it hasn't quite taken off yet. What do you think do you as a team have to do this weekend to really get it going back home?
We mentioned this before about the fans of watching England at big tournaments, and that's not just this World Cup. That's any sporting tournament. And I can only think of me being a fan watching the football, but there always seems to be a massive support of England, whether that be back home or here, and that, we've certainly felt that here so far. But there's always been a build-up during the tournament, and the team wins one more game, and the crowd grows a bit. And we felt that last time in Japan. Every time we seem to play in another game, there seem to be a lot more fans turn up, and I've always thought that the English public, the English people, get behind their teams at major tournaments, and I'm sure that'll be the same.
Steve, excuse me, Steve, just back on the selection subject for a second. Can you just talk through how you came to decide on having the midfield that you have? I mean, I presume you took into account the size of the opposition. You said it's the right midfield. Could you just explain how you balanced it in your mind?
Yeah. So again, the selection process comes. I'll write down all the criteria by which I think the team needs to play, and therefore that dictates around what selection attributes, what strengths we need to have in the team. And around that, I think you've got this great blend in the centres with Manu and Joe. You've got the power and carry and defensive strength that Manu brings. I think you've got incredible running, the outside break that Joe brings, the going from one side of the field to the other to create overloads, the connection he brings with the outside backs in defence. I think that's a really good blend. And I think as you look at this at 10, 12, 13, I think it's got plenty of strengths within it, and I think it's right. We know they pose a lot of challenges. I know they've been talking a lot about what they bring, and I think this is the right combination of players.
Question for Owen. Owen, you're no stranger to these big World Cup knockout games, but Marcus Smith, he's playing his first. Can you give us a sense of his temperament, his big game temperament behind the scenes, how he prepares for this, and how impressed you've been with what he brings to the squad?
I'm always impressed with Marcus. I'm always impressed with how much he wants to get after it, how much he wants the ball, how much he wants to make a difference. And from what I've seen so far, the bigger the occasion, the more he wants to do that. And certainly this week, in the preparation again, he's showing that so far. I mean, it's not like Marcus hasn't played in big games. That's certainly not the case. He's won premiership, so for him to be here, and what he's shown at fullback against Chile, and what he's shown making an impact when he's come on, he wants to have a big impact on the game, and so far he has been doing, and I see that being no different this weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.